The state of Florida continues to see a huge spike in coronavirus cases, and as a result, many states have issued travel restrictions for people who are traveling from Florida. But this is a two-way street because Florida also has travel restrictions on people from certain states coming into the state. Let me break it down for you, starting with people who are leaving Florida. These are people who live there or even who have visited. If you visit Florida and travel to the following 7 states, you must quarantine for 14 days upon entering the state. They are Connecticut, Illinois, Kansas, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. Meanwhile, as I just mentioned, Florida has its travel restrictions of its own for people coming into the state, coming from New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. They all must quarantine. Well, joining me now is former Florida Attorney General and former Special Advisor to President Trump, Pam Bondi. Pam, great to see you again.
You too, Lindsay.
All right, well, we're seeing this crazy spike in cases every day. I feel like it's the top headline of the news, and now obviously the convention in Jacksonville, Florida. But with all these restrictions and quarantine effects in place, I mean, how much of that is a hurdle for the convention, and is there a plan in place to deal with that?
Well, I was with the vice president in Jacksonville a few weeks ago, and he was there to thank the host committee, and they are on top of it. What I can tell you is the Jacksonville host committee, the team on the ground there, Mayor Lenny Curry, who's been off the charts, they are working round the clock, nonstop, to come up with a plan. And, Lindsay, the plan has to be fluid because we're seeing everything change. We're seeing the cases change day by day in our great state. But, what's so important to Florida and to have this convention is Jacksonville. The economy, well, our whole state, our whole country, we've been struggling, but especially Jacksonville. And, when I was there, I was talking to all the folks in the hotels and in the restaurant industry and everywhere we went, and people are so excited to have the convention come to Jacksonville. Of course, it's not going to look like anything we're seeing on your screen right now. We know that. We live in a different world. Everyone understands that, but they're working on everything they can to make the convention as safe as possible and as healthy as possible, distancing, all the measures to be a really great convention. It's going to be a different convention than we've ever seen before in our history, of course, but it's going to be a very positive thing. And it's fluid. Every day it's changing what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, speaking of fluid, I know there's been conversations of whether it might move outside to an outdoor venue. I know the committee briefed the president on there. Is there any update on that, if it will move outdoors?
Not yet. I'm not going to get ahead of that because nothing has been announced. Nothing has been announced yet as to how the convention will be handled, where it will be handled. But I can tell you, speaking with them even this morning, that they're working on it nonstop, around the clock, to have the safest, most positive convention we could ever have. And we really want to help the economy of Jacksonville. And we're working so well with all the local officials there as well.
Pam, I know several senior Republicans have said that they're not going to come to Jacksonville and aren't going to be attending convention this year due to concerns. Is that a helpful thing? Are you guys banking on the fact that people may not come? I know it's in a little bit, might be in a smaller venue. Does that help?
Well, if they don't want to come, it's going to be their loss because, again, it's going to be a safe convention. And I was just in Wisconsin on a 3-day bus tour with Women for Trump with Mercedes Schlapp and Penny Nance and Katrina Pearson. And we had a great time. And everyone in Wisconsin, they are so excited about coming down to the convention in Florida. So I think it's going to be safe, it's going to be distanced, and I think it's going to work out just fine, but we're going to do it in the best possible way to ensure the safety of not only Floridians, but everyone in the country who wants to come.
Pam, I got to ask you about this. It appears that there may be a little bit of friction inside the Florida Republican Party. The New York Times is reporting that Governor DeSantis is telling his top donors not to give to the convention because of one of the planners, Susan Willis. Is this becoming an issue at all for trying to fundraise for the convention? What's the pulse on that?
Not at all. And Susie Wiles is a friend of mine. I have seen nothing slowed down because of that. Susie is doing an incredible job. She's a beautiful, smart, brilliant woman. She's doing a great job on the convention. The president fully supports her, what she's doing, as well as our state. And I think it's going to be fine. I have not heard at all that Governor DeSantis is pulling money back because of Susie. I just don't believe that's true, first of all. But fundraising efforts are going just fine. I do know that. And I know that Susie's doing a great job on the convention. And they're really, as far as I've seen, there's not friction. It's everyone's working great together.
Great.
Especially
Great.
Mayor Lenny Curry, whose hometown is Jacksonville, Florida.
That's great to hear. I mean, that team, you guys have such a tough job switching cities and all that's going on with the pandemic. But I want to shift gears a little bit to something else that's been a hot topic in the news lately is schools reopening. Obviously, people concerned, people want, to help with the economy, but especially in Florida with this spike in cases. As a Floridian, what's your take? Where's your stance? Do you think that schools should be reopened in the fall?
Absolutely. And I've been speaking to Secretary DeVos. She's a friend of mine, and she wants everyone to know around this country that she and President Trump are working as hard as they can to safely reopen schools. Our kids have got to be in a structured environment. They need to go to school. You can only do so much virtual schooling. And, Lindsay, as a former prosecutor, I can tell you firsthand so many cases that I can recall where things were reported from children being in school to help the children's safety, cases of abuse, things that teachers spotted. And we all know it's better for our students to be in school, but it has to be done in a safe manner. Senator Rubio was on television earlier on another network speaking of this, and he wholeheartedly agrees with this. We've got to get our kids back in school. I think all Americans do, and we've got so many working parents, as you know, in this country, and our kids, the parents go back to work, and what are our kids going to do? So they've got to have a safe place to be, and we support our kids, we support all of our teachers. You've got Joe Biden on the other hand, who wants open borders and closed schools. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting and complex issue, Pam. I think one of the interesting thing is you have people trying to be divisive about what Nancy DeVos is saying and the president is saying, that they don't want it to be safe, but I think that isn't true. Do you think that the message needs to change a little bit so that people understand that they do want the school to be open safely? It's not just about reopening, it's they do want it to be open safely. Do you think that message needs to be adjusted just so people can understand that clearly?
Well, I think you're reporting the accurate message. You're one of the networks who are, but you have some networks who don't want to report it accurately. I think Secretary DeVos has been crystal clear that she wants our children to go back to school safely. Who wouldn't? I mean, this should not be a political issue at all. I don't think there's anyone in the country that doesn't want our kids to be back in school and in a safe way. So that's, and we're looking at it state by state. We know that. And I think it's all going to work out, and I think our kids are going to be safe, and our great teachers are going to be there to continue to teach all of our children.
I hope so, and look forward to that. Pam, it's always great to have you on. Thanks so much for your insights and all the updates on convention.
You too. Thanks, Lindsay.
All right, when we come back, Democrats continue their calls to defund the police as crime continues to go up in major cities. And disrespect for law enforcement officers is on the rise. What we're going to show you next is unbelievable. Our company is going to weigh in when we return.